That Don't Sound Right is a podcast about talking the way we did before the internet, when you could not prove anyone right or wrong.
All the expertise was contained in the people involved with the conversation. I'm Peter.
I'm Cecil, and I hope you enjoy our conversations. And as you listen, if you find yourself silently saying, "That don't sound right," send us a comment. You're one of us. Yeah, no animals be hurt in this episode.
Not during this episode. In fact, while I'm hunting, animals usually don't get hurt.
They're pretty safe, yeah.
Welcome back to another episode of That Don't Sound Right, a podcast about talking. We're your co-host. I'm Peter Billman.
I'm Cecil Davis.
And we're just trying to have a conversation without Googling or fact-checking each other online. Those things can so easily kill the conversation.
Have you killed any conversations recently?
You know, I haven't, but we definitely used Google we were at a dinner with some coworkers, and I was trying to explain Scout Motors, the new electric startup company, building essentially electric SUVs and pickups using the old Scout name.
Really?
Yeah. Have you heard of
it? Shame.
Have you heard of this?
Well, I only heard about it for you.
Yeah.
But it seems a shame to put an electric motor in a Scout.
It really does. It really does. But they're doing it. They're building a huge factory in Columbia, South Carolina. Mm-hmm. They haven't revealed any pictures of what this thing's going to look like, but they also talked about using a lot of the tech from Rivian.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and if you look at Rivians, they kind of look like Scouts. They kind of the same lines, the same curves.
So boxy.
Yeah, as a Scout. So we'll see what happens. But the company's owned by Volkswagen. So anyway, I was trying to explain that to somebody, and I said, okay, let's just look.
Scout originally an American company?
Yeah, it's owned by International Harvester
Scout,
at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just heard about it through you. I used Google this week to find something. It's a controversy that I didn't realize was going on. I mean, not controversy, that's too strong of a word, but it's stand hunters versus saddle hunting.
Stand hunters?
Yeah.
Like as in deer hunters?
Deer hunters.
Okay.
Versus saddle hunters.
And you say stand hunters?
Yeah, so either a climber stand or a tree stand, like a ladder stand. So maybe we should define some things.
Yeah, go ahead and define some things.
All right, so tonight we're talking about deer hunting.
Then everyone just clicked off.
Everybody clicked off. But we're not. Stay with us for just a minute.
Hold tight.
This has got a DSR twist.
You're going to find something that don't sound right. You might learn something. And you might not like us.
Yeah, no animals be hurt in this episode.
Not during this episode. In fact, while I'm hunting, animals usually don't get hurt.
They're pretty safe, yeah. So there's a difference between hunting and killing, I found out. So I've done some hunting in my life, but not a lot of killing.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay.
All right. Let's define some terms.
It's like you do a lot of fishing, but not a lot of catching.
Not a lot of catching. All right. So we're going to define some terms. This is deer hunting.
Okay.
All right. So if you're deer hunting, you can hunt deer standing flat on the ground.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You could.
And that's also walking around.
What do you call that? Still hunting.
Still hunting, right.
Or blind hunting. You might have a ground blind that you hunt deer out of.
All right.
That would be, I have not seen much of that in my lifetime.
That's all I've done.
Oh, that's all you've done?
That's all I've done.
Okay. I'm
sorry. I have a climbing tree stand. I used the last couple of years I've been deer hunting.
Mm-hmm.
I've used a climbing tree stand. But most of the time, majority of the time, it's all been blind and still hunting.
Really?
Yeah.
I've done very little of that.
Yeah.
So you have a climber. So what's a climbing stand?
So a climbing stand is it's really a self-climbing stand. It's this contraption that you take apart and you build it, you put it around the tree trunk.
Yeah.
And it's usually 2 metal frames. And there's one metal frame that becomes a platform for you to stand on. And so you actually put your feet in straps, and that platform is attached to your feet. And then you have this other frame that kind of goes around your chest. And what happens is it's kind of a cam system, not a cam system, but you put it on the tree, and as you push down, it grabs the tree. Right. And then what you do is you lift yourself up, and with your feet, you pull that platform up towards you.
Yes.
Then you kind of push down on the platform, lock it into place. Now you're kind of in the seated position.
Right.
But then you stand up and you lift up the section around your chest, lock it in place, and you just, and you kind of walk yourself up the tree.
Yeah.
You can go, as long as the tree doesn't have branches, you can go as high as you feel comfortable.
Yeah, so if you're, I need you to picture this.
Do you have a climbing? Have you
I do
done
not.
climbing?
I've never done a climbing stand.
Okay.
So a climbing stand. So basically, what Peter's describing is a deer hunter has a contraption that they buy, a climbing stand, and they climb essentially like a telephone pole.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So they are using this thing to climb, and then you get up there and you get it set, like you're saying, and you sit in it and wait for a deer to wander by.
And you tie yourself in.
Yep. Yeah. If you're smart, you tie yourself in.
Yeah. I wore a harness.
Yeah.
And I had it wrapped around the tree, and I made sure that I was always secure.
So I want to stop for a minute. So that don't sound right. Part of this night is that we've discovered when we've talked about topics for that don't sound right is that something that we think might not sound right doesn't necessarily not sound right to the people that do it.
That's right.
So for instance, if deer hunters were listening to this sounds completely sane.
Right.
But to most other people who hear this, it sounds completely doesn't sound right.
My email ears are already burning.
Yeah. So people who deer hunt in stands, they do the self-climbers. There's also ladder stands.
Right.
Which you can buy, commercial ladder stands, or what I've traditionally hunted out of are homemade ladder stands, which are usually a series of 2x4s that go up, 20 or 30 feet, and they have a little seat at the top of it, and it's attached to the tree.
Yeah.
And I have known people that have fallen out of ladder stands.
Did they make it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've known a couple of people that have fallen out of ladder stands, and you get hurt, but it's a 20 or 30 foot fall to the ground.
It's, I mean, I
15, 20.
Several hunters get killed every year because they fall out of their stands.
Yeah, they fall out of stands.
Yeah.
So, in a ladder stand, you're less likely to have a tether like you had, like you were harnessed in. So you're just sitting up on a 2x4 or several 2x4s. And if you shift wrong, I mean, there's always a chance that you...
Well, the ones I've seen also is sometimes they will nail these boards right into the tree.
Right. You can have them nailed right into the tree.
You'll just walk right up. And usually you have to do that on your own land. You can't do that on public land.
Right. Now, they're box stands, which are essentially really fancy.
They're adult tree houses.
Yeah, they're adult. It's basically a tree house.
They're adult form.
It's that you're covered on all four sides, but they're up in a tree. They have floors in them and a trap door and usually a swivel seat. So you can swivel at least, if not 360, 270.
All right.
And they have a spot. So stands vary.
And not all those are very high up. Like I've seen some of these other ones around farms. I mean, they're only probably 10 feet up. They're not that high up, but they're usually shooting down pretty clear lane to where they can see the animals come by. Yeah. The other thing that they usually do is they set it up where the bait station is.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Because in our state you can hunt over bait.
Right.
Yeah. And so I've seen stands like that. They're big enough that you can put a wheelchair up in them. They have ramps.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so disabled hunters can hike.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's all these types of stands. So saddle hunting, I've discovered, is hunting. Saddle hunting.
Saddle, like on a horse. A horse's saddle.
A horse's saddle.
But it's not.
That's not what it is.
What is it?
It's where you hunt basically from a lineman's perch. It's like a climbing stand, but you're just in a sling. You're just in like a lineman's climbing gear. So you're just suspended from the tree. And that's called saddle hunting.
Really? I've never
heard of it either. I've just recently heard of it.
Have you seen a picture of someone doing it?
Yes.
So are they dangling from the branch, or are they up against the trunk of the tree?
They look like a lineman. And so if you know what I'm talking about, a lineman that works on power poles. Yeah. They look like a lineman reversed.
Okay, so they're still up against the pole.
Yeah, they're still up against the pole.
Because if they're dangling from a tree, from a branch that's overhanging, that'd be a really tough shot.
Yeah.
Because you're swinging back and forth.
So you're against the tree basically reversed. You're kind of kicked out just a little bit. But yeah, you're kind of essentially, you're not sitting necessarily.
Man, that's got to be a really, really, really comfortable harness to be doing that. I've worn the harness I have. I mean, if something would go wrong, I would fall. I would not want to be in that harness that long. And I've worn climbing harnesses.
Yeah.
And even climbing harnesses, you don't want to be rappelling, if you know what I mean, for hours on end. That's pretty.
Well, now I want to meet a saddle hunter because I'm just curious. Why would you?
I'd like to see the saddle that they use.
Yes. You need to look it up. It looks extremely uncomfortable.
It looks very.
All deer stands for the most part.
Even that. I mean, when you're when you're in a climbing tree stand, you have a frame around you. You have a floor under your feet.
Yeah.
Usually you have some compartment so you could store some of your stuff, so your snacks. And when you're just dangling from a tree, where you put anything, you got to hold on to your gun the whole time.
It looks
like a tough shot.
Super uncomfortable. Yeah, I don't know how you even get the
In fact, how do you swing around if something's coming from from the left, especially, or from the right? How do you swing around?
I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah.
So even to the kind of experienced deer hunters, that don't sound right. But to saddle hunters, it's like, what are you talking about? I do this all the time. It's no problem.
Yeah. I guess because it's lighter weight, maybe you can, like I said, I know very little about this other than what it is. Maybe you can move tree to tree very easily. Maybe it's like almost like still hunting.
Yeah, true.
But you're kind of triangulating a deer and then going up to get the shot.
You basically can climb any tree. Well, it still needs to be more like a telephone. It's got to be a straight tree without branches, because I don't think a lineman can climb around branches. I guess a really good lineman.
Maybe a tree. I don't know. If anybody's a saddle hunter, I would love to hear from you.
I know some of our listeners are deer hunters.
I would love to hear from you. And why saddle hunting is a thing. Even those climbing stands like you use, if you don't use them correctly, you can come down that tree pretty quick in that stand.
Well,
like if it loses its grip.
This is my fear. Mm-hmm. My fear is that the floor that's strapped to your feet, if that falls off your feet and goes down, you're just left hanging onto the frame with your arms. Yeah. And you're gonna I'd have to lure myself down with my tether strap. Yeah.
Or you can shimmy down the tree, maybe.
I mean, that's what I mean. The harness has a tether strap, and you can tighten that up, so you can almost climb down like a lineman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the linemen have that rope that goes around that they use their hands.
Because you're really the only thing holding you in that stand is friction, right? In a climbing stand.
It's not, because it's not. It really kind of digs into the bark, so it's. I mean,
still, your weight is what's holding the.
Yeah, it's my weight that's holding it down. Yeah, yeah. I had a couple experiences where the floor started to move. Now, in reality, I have them tied together, so it actually can't do that. But I had it tied together a little too far apart, so it went down, and I thought, man, that's way down there. Yeah. Because it was up near my shoulders. Right. So I kind of had to, kind of work my way back up, and then I changed that adjustment. I don't do this anymore. Yeah. I don't climb trees anymore.
Because you're way up there.
Yeah.
I've, on my granddad's land, there were stands big enough to sleep in.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of these things being heated with, mini fridges and everything. So you got to ask yourself the question, are you really hunting?
I was sleeping.
You were sleeping?
Yeah, one morning.
Oh, you went out there and go to sleep?
I went up one morning. I can't keep my eyes open, so I just laid down at the bottom. I went to sleep.
So that's the other thing that don't sound right to a lot of people. That you would go out there on a perfectly good fall morning. Yeah, and you'd get up early. You'd hike out there. Yep. You get out there 30 minutes before sunrise.
So what? 6 in the morning? 5:30 in the morning.
Super early. So you're there, and then you're quiet. And then it starts raining, and you stay. Yeah.
That's what, if you describe that to anybody else, you say, hey, I'm getting up, we'll climb a tree, and we'll sit in that tree for 4 hours or 5 hours.
In the rain, maybe.
In the rain, in the cold.
Oh, very cold.
Yeah. When I would hunt with my father-in-law, it feels like it was always freezing cold. And I can't stay warm. I can't keep my legs and feet warm. And even when I have good stuff, I don't.
When growing up, we would go deer hunting in the western part of Maryland. And one of the things, it was always, deer season was only a Saturday.
One Saturday?
One Saturday of the month. Huh. It was the Saturday after Thanksgiving. So our tradition always was we'd go out, and we were out there for maybe it was for a week. Maybe it was, I'm sorry, it wasn't. It was just for a week. We were there on opening day. And I remember all kinds of things to try to keep my feet warm. I even invested in battery-powered wool socks. Yeah. Do you know what these are? Yeah. Did you have a pair?
I didn't have a pair. I bought a pair for Christy one time because her feet get cold. But
what kind of battery did it use?
I think it was D.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It had this warming wire that went underneath your toes. Yeah. And you put this D-cell battery on your thigh. I mean, on your calf.
There's no way to stay warm with in the sitting position like that.
No, there's not.
and you have no blood flow. And you can't, it's hard, unless you're in one of those box stands, you can't stand up.
Right. The climbers, you can stand up.
Can you?
You actually can stand up in the climbers, right? It's fine. So
I've sat up there just thinking, deer have got to think that we're stupid because they're down there fine and we're up a tree, either freezing or wet or both.
What have you heard? I should know this, but what have you heard is the reason for climbing a tree? I think there was a set of deer that actually knew how to talk. There's a species of deer at one time that knew how to talk.
Narnian deer.
And they put the idea in hunters' head that, hey man, we never look up. Y'all should climb the tree.
So I think, here's why I think we have to climb trees.
Yeah.
I think it's because of rifles.
Oh, okay.
I think there may even be a law with a rifle, you've got to be shooting down so that if you miss, the trajectory carries the round into the ground.
Yeah.
I think that's why I think from rifle hunting, you have to hunt from.
No, you don't have to, but you don't have to climb a tree. I haven't seen a state where you have to climb a tree to hunt.
Really?
Because you got ground blinds, you still hunt.
But you hunt with a shotgun, right?
No,
you hunt with a rifle?
Yeah, you still hunt with a rifle.
I didn't.
So the two theories I've heard on why you climb a tree,
right?
But the third one is the deer. There was a species of deer that could talk. Put the idea in hunter's head to get them up in a tree, make them miserable. But the other theory is that you disperse your scent up high.
I've heard that. Except, let me just say, I knew some old timers.
Yep.
That would chew tobacco and spit out of the tree. And they would also pee out of their tree stand.
I've been still hunting. I've been still hunting, and I've been about not but 75 feet. So when you go hunting in Maryland, you don't see deer. Right. You see other hunters.
Right.
And you see other hunters. I mean, it is scat. We all wear this blaze orange, right? Yeah. And when you're out there at night and you think you got a good spot, when the sun comes up and you look around and it looks like orange splotches everywhere. But anyway, I was there, and there's not a guy but 75 feet away from me.
Yeah.
And I was there first. He comes up. I flash my light. He doesn't move. I'm like, oh, great. So I'm sitting there, and it starts to get light. He's smoking.
Yeah.
So anyway, I can see why that might be debunked.
Right.
All right. The other one is the idea that deer don't look up.
Well, I still think I could prove that because I have seen deer walk under tree stand.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no,
under tree stand.
I've had that happen before.
Yeah, and I think we told this story on here one time. I mean, I had a fox almost walk over the top of my feet one morning.
Right.
He was so intent on whatever he was tracking, he walked right over the top of me.
And he didn't worry about your scent.
No. I don't know why we climb trees. I always thought it was because you had to hunt with a rifle from an elevated position.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
You always say things confidently, and then I believe it. I think it's because you can't hunt. I think you can't hunt from I think you have to hunt rifle hunt.
You do not have to hunt from an elevated position. You don't have to do it.
I'm going to say it. I think you're wrong. I think that doesn't sound right.
You don't have to do it.
So, I don't.
You have to be careful.
Oh, absolutely.
You have to
with a rifle, yeah.
With a rifle, but you don't. There's nothing. I took Jack to a hunter safety course.
Oh, really?
Not that long ago, and there was no mention of hunting.
You say things with such confidence, and I just agree with you.
There's no mention of hunting. I know there's one guy, one listener. He's probably listening, and he's throwing his phone on behalf of you.
For you,
but he'll throw the phone on behalf of me after I say that. After I say this,
what's that?
That I think hunting from a boxed tree stand or blind over a pile of bait isn't hunting.
Really?
No, that is not hunting.
You don't hunt over bait?
That's harvesting. That's harvesting livestock.
Well, that's what they call deer hunting anyway. That If you look at your license, it says harvest.
That's fine, but that's not hunting. You have not participated.
You're one of those guys that try to start a fire with a piece of flint and a rock.
You're not participating in the act of trying to discern where the deer move and to be in the right place at the right time to get the deer.
No.
You have altered their behavior to stand right in front of you
still
while you are sipping your latte in your box and you're shooting a piece of livestock.
Yes.
Okay.
I need for that deer to be
still
100 yards. Broadside.
Hey man, that's why you shot a lot of deer, and I have not.
I have not shot a lot of deer. I have drug a lot of deer, but I have not shot a lot of the deer. Yeah, I need for him to be over the bait, broadside, very still, looking at me with a target on him, but preferably.
Yeah, but I wonder, I mean, I don't think you have to be a hunter to agree with me on that.
What's that?
That is shooting an animal eating a pile of corn is not hunting.
It's not easy, though. Because I'm seeing myself as miss.
That might be true, but I don't care if that's a deer or a target. That's, I mean, it means you can't target.
Okay, when you start a fire, what do you do?
Oh, I use matches, man.
Yeah.
I use
lighter fluid?
No, I don't use lighter fluid. I use like I'm building a fire in my backyard. I'll use one of those little kind of wax and sawdust fire starters.
You use everything at your disposal to start the fire. Most things. Yeah. Same thing with hunting.
But hunting has a certain definition.
You're a purist.
Starting a fire is starting a fire. Hunting is trying to predict the movement and the location of an animal.
That's stalking.
Sure, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. You can do that in the woods, or you can do that on Facebook.
Yes. All right. Yeah.
Now the question is what you do on Facebook when you're trying to find somebody you used to know. Is that stalking or is that hunting?
That's stalking. Yeah. No, I know what you're saying. I mean, there are a lot of people that think that hunting over bait's not hunting. And we could probably start a true argument. People get very for all the non-hunters in our audience.
Yeah,
people can be very, very sensitive.
Cecil, the non-hunters are not listening.
Well, yeah, they tuned out at the 3-minute mark.
Yeah, that's right.
But if you're still listening, deer hunting can be very contentious.
It can be. It can be. And let me say, I just say all of that I hold that very loosely. For people who want to sit in a stand and shoot a deer over corn, man, that's great. I mean, I've seen guys shoot beautiful deer that way.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, that's a really awesome
absolutely
looking cattle you shot.
Like even I heard my dad talk about like a long time ago there in North Carolina, there was a debate over where to even use rifles. Like everybody uses a rifle now for the most part. But hunting was done with a shotgun.
Well, I thought in the
I
thought in the eastern part of the state, you still have to use a shotgun because of the flatness of the land and that the bullet travels too far.
Yeah. Well, and they've also you said that you didn't have to do that. Now you're
No. I'm saying in some
you're coming over my side now.
No. I'm saying in some counties they don't mandate that you shoot from up high. They just mandate you got to use.
Use a shotgun.
Period.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that.
Yeah, because of I know in Maryland on the eastern shore where everything was flat, you had to use a shotgun.
I thought you were coming over my side for a minute.
No, I'm not coming to your side about that. I'm just saying that there are places where they mandate the shotgun.
So yeah, in some community, like some hunt clubs wouldn't allow rifles. I'm talking 60, 70 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Everybody hunted with shotguns, and then like the rifle I hunt with is what they call a sporterized German field Mauser. So yeah, they have this rifle. It's a 30-06.
Okay,
but they have as deer hunting became more popular, some of these military rifles got what they call sporterized.
Okay,
and so the action was put into more of the style stock instead of military stock. It was more the stock that you see for hunting now, like a wooden stock.
All right,
and they were called sporterized, and so you'd have
sporterized.
Yeah, so you have a lot of these. Leftover military rifles that became sporterized.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
I'd like to see your rifle.
I mean, so now you see, like, everybody hunts with a rifle now. Like, you very rarely see people hunting with shotguns unless they're flat on the ground and dog hunting is when I see it.
Yeah, right.
Not hunting dogs.
No.
Let me, not to get our audience messed up here. Dog hunting is when you run this sounds even worse. People have deer dogs, and what they'll do is they'll line up, golly, this sounds crazy when you describe it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
All right. Dog hunting is this. It's when you line a bunch of people up on a road or a trail or dirt road on a block of woods, and you get some other people on the other side of you, and they release the dogs, and they're controlling the dogs, and the dogs are running back toward that line, and they're all armed with shotguns, and as the deer come running by, they shoot the deer. I
didn't realize there was a line of people.
Yeah.
I've never been on a dog hunt.
I have been on a dog hunt.
We've done a hunt where we set up a couple people, and then we had other people kind of
same concept.
Same concept, but it's instead of dogs, it's people. But I realized that Yeah, well, you couldn't use a rifle anyway.
Yeah. Well, the thing I
Because
don't
the
like,
deer are on the run.
deer on the run, yeah, unless you're
Well,
really,
you're going to be a
really
super
good.
shot. You got a super shot.
The thing I don't like about dog hunting is one, I don't like the idea of running deer with dogs.
Mm-hmm.
But two, at some point, the line that's driving the deer and the line that's stationary,
They get close.
They get close.
Yeah.
And so, and if you shoot left or right, like you got to be shooting kind of directly in front of you.
You got to stay in your lane, man.
Yeah, because there's people to the left or right, spaced out, but still they're there. So yeah, I'm all my head's on a swivel when during dog hunting.
Yeah, I don't know if you've read any stories about Teddy Roosevelt. Some of his.
I'm actually reading The Bully Pulpit right now.
But some of his hunting stories are pretty wild.
How about
where he's hunted bear with dogs.
Yeah,
he's had some favorite dogs that helped him.
Yeah,
helped him do that. He had some crazy stories of doing that.
Well, I think we have come to the end of telling y'all about climbing trees early in the morning and sitting up them.
Yeah, and you know what? It's about hunting season.
Yeah, that's why I thought it'd be a good time.
Yeah, it's probably spring, fall bow season is coming up. But before we close, we want to thank everyone for listening, especially those that hung on the entire episode. If this is your first time, we don't usually talk about hunting. But we talk about a bunch of random things.
Things that don't sound right.
And things that just don't sound right. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Consider hitting the subscribe button on the platform you listen with. Also, if you're a longtime listener and you're still with us, give us that rating and review so others can find us and join the conversation.
All right, That Don't Sound Right is a production of TSR Podcast in conjunction with Camel City Studios. I'm your co-host and sound engineer, Cecil. Peter is your other host and web designer. Camille is your barista. Emily is your graphic designer. Ella does your Instagram. Giorgio tests your merchandise. Brent is our international brand ambassador. And as always, listener number one is Scott. Until next week, keep talking
and stay curious.